Hello everyone, my name's Dexter Burkhill. I wanted to show you today about some tie-down systems that I've developed, or a tie-down system that I've developed in the last few months, and have finally got to try it a few times and am quite happy with it. Like everybody, we've probably played around with all sorts of anchors, just from pieces of star pickets right through to fancy different claws and things and other devices. I'm pretty happy with what I've come up with. I started out with this particular auger. This is an auger that my brother's engineering, Demon Engineering, makes for the agricultural industry. This is the smallest one produced, galvanised, and a small flight on it. He makes them up to anything up to 2 metres long with a lot more flight on them. This one's driven in with a small handheld post hole digger with a driving attachment, and of course the larger ones are usually driven in with a tractor mounted post hole digger with the appropriate attachment to drive them in. And of course the big ones, once they're in the full depth, you can hook a 4-wheel drive tractor on them and you will not pull them out. So that's what I started with, and I originally used this very auger with an aluminium T-bar I used to carry with me, and whilst it worked great in some soft soils that you could drive it in, other hard soils or stony soils it was just absolutely impossible to put in. So I started experimenting one day to see what I could come up with, and I started out with this particular one, and the first thing I did to make it easier to drive was to shorten the point on it and sharpen the point fairly, it's not absolutely sharp, but it's down to a point. And I reduced the diameter of the flight down to what you can see I've got here now, which is approximately nearly 20 millimetres flight around the shaft of the auger. I welded a 16 millimetre grade 8.8 bolt on the head after fitting this bracket to A, hold under the head, and B, to hold the tie down to. So that was simply the modification, but it took a while to do because I was just kept reducing the diameter of this flight until I got it to a stage where I could drive it with what was the ultimate intention, because I really got sick and tired of trying to wind them in with a T-bar. And what I came up with was to use an impact driver, because everybody has an impact driver in their shed these days, just about, and if not, you can buy them reasonably cheaply from anything, well under $100 to well over a couple of $100. This one's a Milwaukee, of course, my battery tool of choice. I've got the 24mm socket, impact driver socket on it. It's the long one because it's the only one I've got that size, but you could buy a short one if you wanted to save a little bit of weight. It's fitted with a 5 amp hour battery, the standard 18 volt Milwaukee battery. Milwaukee do make a 4 amp hour battery, and which would save a bit of weight again. I don't see the need to just go out and buy one specifically for this purpose, because this is what I use around the farm all the time, and the weight difference probably isn't that great. So that's what you need. Now, the first one I made with a stainless steel bracket, and of course I realised later that was probably a silly move. And the second one I made, I put an aluminium one on. Saved a bit of weight, and it's only grams. We're talking 40 grams difference in weight between the two, but it all adds up. So after making the first one and experimenting with the driving into the ground here at home, which at the time was pretty hard because of the drought we were in, I finally settled on that size. To carry them in the plane, I thought, well, I don't like the idea of something like that floating around in the baggage, so just use a post pack tube, which you simply put them in and store them. This one's got a cap on the end. I've got to get some more caps to plug the other ends. The cap for this end on this one did break, and the other tube that I've got has no caps because I just haven't got around to getting them at this stage, but the way I pack them in the plane has usually got something around them and they can't move. So that's the system. And of course I use tie downs, simple tie downs, hook each end, and to secure the plane. I only ever, at this stage, have ever used 2 tie downs, 1 on each wing. I've never seen the need to tie the tail on this particular plane, although I know some planes it is essential, and maybe one day I will make the 3rd one up and carry it with me with another tie down to tie the tail, but it's not a pressing issue at this point of time for me. So, in a nutshell, that's what I've come up with. I'm very pleased with the way it works. After using it at Clifton a few weeks ago, which was the first flyaway that I've had an opportunity to try it at, and the soil there was almost identical soil to what I have here on the farm, so it was a bit of a no-brainer, I guess. Yesterday, Brett Patton, who some of you may know, was unable to drive one of his augers in at Scone, and I had my kit with me because I wasn't sure where I'd be tying down, and as it turned out, where we were displaying at, we were able to tie our wings down on the Aero Club tie downs outside the Aero Club, and I didn't need mine, and Brett tied his down on the tie downs as well, but he needed, because of the strong wind that was blowing, he really needed to tie his Super Stole tail down, and he was having trouble driving the system that he had into the ground because it was so hard, and there were stones and whatnot, and I said to him, do you want to try mine? So I gave him one of the augers and the Milwaukee, and I think he was pleased as punch. Drove it in, and did need the maximum torque setting on the impact driver, but it drove it in, and was able to remove it again, of course, when you finished. And they really hold securely. It's sort of a combination of the hammering effect of driving it in that actually keeps the soil compacted around the flight. I haven't done any actual destruction tests on seeing what it will pull. One day I may do that with the tractor and just see what it can hold. But the ideal thing would, of course, be to get some sort of pretty good tension meter to get a good reading. So that's it. So I'm going to now just go and drive this into the floor of my farm hangar. I'll do it inside because we had a fair bit of rain last night, which was a surprise. And so I'll do it on the dry ground, and you can see how it drives in on this clay soil, and you can evaluate it from there. Now, as I said, my brother manufactures these. It's not rocket science. Anybody can knock them up, really. And if there was an interest, well, I'd be possibly interested in maybe producing them or getting him to produce them. I don't know, but most people are pretty handy with their hands and the tools in their workshop, and if you wanted, I can give you any measurements you need, but again, nothing is critical in the design. And so that's it. So I'll just swing the camera around and we'll have a go at driving it in. Okay, here we are. We're about to make a bit of noise. Now you can drive it straight down, drive it at an angle, whatever you want. In this case, I'm just going to drive straight down or a slight angle, but and see how we go. Okay, that's about the extent that it's happy to drive in at the moment, and I can assure you that no plane in a storm will ever pull that out. In fact, I'd be prepared to put the front end loader of a tractor onto it and experiment sometime just to see how much it will take to pull it out. But that's it as far as putting it in. A bit of weight required to drive down, of course. Again, you can't do that continuously with a T-bar. This thing makes it easy. To remove it, simply the case of put your impact driver in reverse, and away you go. And it's out. Very little soil damage. Keep most of the airports happy. Scratch a bit of dirt, fill back the hole. You can see how much it obviously compacted the soil while it was going in. A couple of days, you'll never know I was there. thank you for watching, and you can contact me anytime, ATEC Aircraft Sales Australia, Australasia, and quite happy to talk to you about them. Okay, thank you very much for watching.